standing in the way of indigenous migrant communities. CIELO also advocates for cultural preservation and works to reduce gender-based violence. This local nonprofit was a crucial partner of the District 9 community during the height of COVID-19. Under Odelia's leadership, CIELO conducted outreach and increased access to the vaccine, ensuring that no one was left behind. Together, we supported indigenous communities, distributing hot meals and pantry boxes to neighbors. Most recently, we hosted a community cultural indigenous dance event at South Park, which united people from all walks of life. It's my honor to recognize Odelia Romero as a community champion, coalition builder, and a devoted humanitarian. And she's this year's CD9 Pioneer Woman.
Thank you.
Chairman of the organizing committee for the Los Angeles Olympic Games of 1984, Peter Ueberroth, turned those games into an opportunity for inclusion and representation. LA celebrated his ongoing legacy with an event at the Memorial Coliseum where Ueberroth was joined by Olympians and city leaders for the unveiling of a plaque in his honor.
I'm delighted to be here today as a plaque is unveiled on behalf of Peter Victor Ueberroth, who is the president of the organizing committee, the games that changed the way the Olympic Games are now presented to the world.
Peter included the whole city of Los Angeles into the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games in '84 was the first Olympics to actually make a profit, and $100 million was used to start the LA '84 Foundation, which is still giving out money today.
I'm really honored and grateful to be here to thank you, Peter Ueberroth, for your vision of inclusion. By adding the 2 wheelchair exhibition events to the 1984 Games, you created a massive paradigm shift for us.
Peter Ueberroth was Time Magazine Man of the Year after the 1984 Olympics. He was seen as the American and the world citizen that not only turned the Olympics around, but put LA on the map with the most successful Olympic Games, not only to date then, but arguably to date even today.
The Summer Olympics in 1984 were a watershed moment for the Olympic movement. More athletes, more countries, and more women competed in the 1984 Olympic Games than in any other games up until that time.
So Peter is this angel in the City of Angels, everything from bringing para-athletes into this stadium to having new women's events to making sure that there was marketing of sports in a way that raised the Olympics up. He changed the movement, he changed our city, he changed the world.
I just want to thank everybody. You heard a lot of nice comments. Some of them were true, some of them were exaggerated. But the fact is, in this society that we all live in, we can make a difference. And we can all make a difference. And God bless you all. Thank you.
In our feature story this week, our own Anita Bennett sits down with Wanda Williams, Director of Interim Housing at Urban Alchemy. This nonprofit is behind the latest Westlake Tiny Home Village, and Wanda discussed how they are helping the unhoused population around downtown. Let's hear the story.
A new tiny home village just opened in Westlake near downtown Los Angeles. Now that shelter is run by a nonprofit called Urban Alchemy. And joining us to discuss this village is Wanda Williams. You are the Director of Interim Housing at Urban Alchemy.
Yes, I am.
How many people are housed there?
So at the present time, we have 55 people who are housed there from all walks of life. And at this village, you know, we're able to help each and every person.
And the people who are housed there, is it single people, families? Can you tell us about that?
We have singles, we have couples, but we also have a family.
How many people are there?
At the present time, we have 90 people there.
I see people all over downtown LA and Echo Park wearing the vests like you have on. Can you tell us about the work that they do?
We engage each and every person who is experiencing homelessness. We engage them, we assess them, and then we try to move them into being matched into housing.
The employees, a lot of them have experienced homelessness themselves, correct?
Yes. We believe in giving opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. We also believe in giving jobs. So a lot of our employees who live at villages, they also work with us.
COVID, did that pose any particular additional challenges?
COVID, yes, it did. It posed a lot of challenges for a lot of people because it was, everything stopped, but we didn't stop. We kept going on. We kept, and this is when we had the bathrooms. We kept servicing the bathrooms.
The bathrooms were those mobile units set
Yes.
up on the streets of LA.
Yes, yes, so all during COVID, even though the world stopped, we continued.
And those mobile bathrooms and washing stations were lifesavers, not just for the unhoused, but people driving along, because everything was closed because of COVID.
Right. And they stayed open the whole entire time, so thank God for that.
And I actually had to stop and use one day, and I should tell the audience, the Urban Alchemy workers, they clean those units after every use.
After every use, every bathroom must be disinfected because of COVID and now because of monkeypox.
It's always something. Well, I want to thank you because I saw the lady with the spray bottle and the wipes and I said, woo, she is busy.
Yes.
If someone wants to apply to Urban Alchemy, how do they go about that?
We have a website and it's called urban-alchemy.us. They can go on there and apply for a practitioner. All of our people who want to apply, they're practitioners. There's a wide range of things that you will become in this position. You're going to become a counselor, you're going to become a parent, you're going to become everything to everybody that everyone needs.
Wanda Williams with Urban Alchemy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Celebrate Native American Heritage Month at the LA Public Library. Donate at the Spread the Warmth Blankets and Socks Drive, or support our heroes at the San Fernando Valley Veterans Day Parade. All this up next on Things to Do.
This year, you can celebrate Native American Heritage Month at the Los Angeles Public Library. This special event will be at the Lincoln Heights branch. Dream catchers, which are believed to protect sleepers, especially children, from nightmares and evil spirits, are commonly used in the Ojibwe tribe tradition. Attendees will be able to come and celebrate Native American Heritage Month and create their own dream catchers to take home. Children of all ages are encouraged to attend this free event that will take place at the Lincoln Heights Branch Library on Saturday, November 12th at 2 p.m. For more information and details, visit lapl.org/events. Fall is that time of the year when we start to take out our warm clothes from the back of the closet and decide what we need and what we can get rid of. The LA Sanitation Department is holding Spread the Warmth Blankets and Socks Drive, so you can donate the new and gently used blankets, sleeping bags, socks, and quilts that you don't need. All the donated items will be distributed to LA City's unhoused population. There are different drop-off locations for residents, businesses, and city employees, which are open from now until December 30th, Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. For more information about the drop-off locations and other details, visit lacitysan.org. Come and pay tribute to America's heroes, the veterans of our armed forces, by attending the 19th annual San Fernando Valley Veterans Day Parade. This will be an opportunity to honor those who served past and present in the San Fernando Valley with a parade that brings the community together. Everyone is welcome to attend the 19th annual San Fernando Valley Veterans Day Parade that will begin at the corner of Laurel Canyon Boulevard and San Fernando Mission Boulevard on Friday, November 11th at 11:11 a.m. For more information about how to submit your entry application to march in the parade, as well as other details about events happening around the parade, visit sfvveteransdayparade.com. And that's a look at some things to do.
And that's it for this edition. I'm Natalia Bilbao, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. Okay, there are people who are shouting in the audience. I'm going to instruct them to take their seats and remain quiet and stop disrupting the meeting. So there's a noisemaker. The person with the noisemaker is actually disrupting this meeting, and Mr. Khan is speaking and standing in the aisle despite multiple warnings over the last week. I'm going to give one more warning to everybody who's here. Have a seat. Have a seat so you can participate in this meeting and be silent. Mr. Hamid Khan has been warned. Please exclude him from the meeting.
So,
pursuant to Council Rule 7, I've instructed him that he's disrupting the meeting under Council Rule 12. Sergeants, please remove Mr. Khan from the meeting. He's been ordered excluded.
Mr. Khan, you've been ordered to leave quietly, and the person with the noisemaker.
The person with the noisemaker is ordered excluded from this meeting for causing an actual disruption pursuant to Council Rule 12, and Council Rule 7 will apply to both of them once they are removed. Right. Sergeants, please remove them from the meeting.
And the person with the noisemaker is the one wearing the red knit cap and I think a plaid top and a white face mask, holding like a noisemaker can above his or her head. So Mr. Khan is still shouting as he walks backwards out of the room, and the person with the noisemaker is continuing to make the noise.
Okay, again, to the members of the public who are here, you're welcome to participate in your city council meeting, but you are not welcome to disrupt the meeting. So there will be no shouting, and there will be, okay. So the two people who now are using noisemakers are ordered excluded from this meeting.
Okay.
Sergeants, please remove the two people, no, the three people who are using noisemakers. The one in the center aisle, and the person with the noisemaker in the back row, the two noisemakers in the back row, they are ordered excluded from this meeting pursuant to Council Rule 12, and Council Rule 7 will apply to them as well. Please remove them immediately.
So one of the people, just to be clear, is the one wearing, I believe, a black sweat top or something and a cowbell that two of the sergeants are talking to. One of them is standing up wearing a black jacket and sort of blondish hair, shaking some sort of white noisemaker, and the other one was the one with the red knit top in the back row.
And sergeants, in case you couldn't hear that, the person standing using the noisemaker in the back row is excluded from the meeting. The person in the knit cap in the back row using a noisemaker is excluded from the meeting. Please escort them to the door.
And the person with the green poncho as well is subject to your order, I believe, Mr. President, who's talking to one of the sergeants right now.
Yes, Mr. City Attorney, they've already been ordered excluded, and the sergeants are escorting them to the door.
So just to be really clear on this, all the people that we've talked about have been ordered removed and are supposed to leave quietly from the meeting. They're obviously not doing it, but they are actually disrupting the meeting, and they're subject to possible exclusion under Rule 7, which is posted in the room and available on the clerk's website with the rest of the council rules. So,
all right. The gentleman who is standing in front of the podium, I'd like to ask you respectfully to take your seat so that we can proceed with the meeting. Okay. That person has been warned, and so has the person who's standing in the center aisle towards the back. Please exclude them from the meeting pursuant to Council Rule 12.
Okay. So, gentleman in front of the podium with the kind of dark jacket and the blue shirt with the red hand that says no, you were actually ordered to sit down and you verbally refused to do so. You were asked again, and now you've been ordered removed from the meeting. You're supposed to leave quietly.
All right, the gentleman who's standing in the trench coat and shouting is ordered removed from the meeting pursuant to Council Rule 12. And, okay.
So, Akil, you've been ordered to leave quietly, and you're not doing it, so you were ordered removed.
And the woman wearing the Mejia shirt as well should be excluded from this meeting for disrupting the operation of the City Council. So pursuant to Council Rule 12, she is excluded as well. And pursuant to Council Rule 7, that rule will apply as well. I'm not going to engage in a debate with the people who are shouting things that are not true, but neither Mr. De Leon nor Mr. Cedillo are here, and so this meeting will not be disrupted.
So the two people in the center aisle there at the podium, you're
the two
disrupting
people
the
who
meeting?
are standing in the center aisle shouting now are ordered excluded from the meeting for creating an actual disturbance under Council Rule 12, and Council Rule 7 will apply to them as well. Please remove from the meeting for refusing to comply with my orders, for using a noisemaker, for shouting, and for standing in the center aisle. Please remove them immediately.
And just for the record, one of them is the person with the red cap who is doing the noisemaker all the time. The other is a gray-haired woman holding up the sign that says no meetings. They've both been ordered removed. And they're both shouting and using a noise. And just in case the mics aren't picking this up, they are still actually disrupting the meeting as they shout, walking backwards very, very slowly.
And using the noisemaker
Indeed.
and blocking the aisle. Sergeants, the woman who is shouting now, who's wearing the Mejia t-shirt, has already been ordered excluded, so she continues to disrupt the meeting by shouting as we're waiting for her to be removed. Council Rule 12 and Council Rule 7 will apply to her. Please order her removed, or please remove her. She's been ordered removed. We're not going to debate, but I will tell you that council meetings will proceed and we will not be disrupted.
So just for the record, the people are still making noise and refusing to follow LAPD's orders to leave.
All right, so those orders of exclusion continue to stand. I'll try to proceed as best we can to see if we can get through some of the meetings. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. I'm sorry, the person on the left hand, on my left, is continuing to shout every time I try to speak, causing an actual disruption of the meeting under Council Rule 12. This is the last warning. As permitted under Assembly Bill 361, public comment can and will be taken via teleconference as well. So we'll be taking both in-person and telephonic public conference at public comment today. Today is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, and we're ready to begin today's meeting. So Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, De Leon, Harris Dawson, Hutt, Koretz, Krikorian, Lee, O'Farrell, Price, Rahman, Rodriguez. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Just for the record, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't know if the mics picked this up, but the two people back there, the one in the black shirt or sweat top and the one in the trench coat, are still making a lot of noise. And I was actually having trouble hearing the clerk who is sitting right next to me.
And they were already ordered excluded, and they're refusing. Okay. Okay, and they're continuing to shout very loudly in the council chambers after having been ordered excluded. And for the record, the person who was on the left-hand side in the black T-shirt will be ordered excluded for yelling and causing an actual disruption under Council Rule 12, and Council Rule 7 will apply as well.
Lots of noise as they leave, per usual, to the point where we really couldn't conduct business.
The woman in the center aisle wearing the red T-shirt is ordered excluded from this meeting for causing an actual disruption under Council Rule 12, and so is the other person in the aisle wearing the black T-shirt. They are both ordered excluded from this meeting for actually disrupting under Council Rule 12, and Council Rule 7 will apply to them.
And these two people, the one in the black shirt that said tenant unionist and then the one in the red, are really making a lot of noise as they leave. And they're still shouting.
Sir, you've been ordered excluded. Please leave the council chambers. You are ordered excluded, and Council Rule 7 will apply to you.
And he's still shouting loudly.
All right, what's the first order of business, Madam Clerk?
Approval of the minutes of Friday, November 4th, 2022.
Councilmember Price moves, Councilmember Hutt seconds. Now there's two other people who are standing. This person in the middle is shouting, the person with the beard. He is ordered excluded from this meeting for causing an actual disruption under Council Rule 12, and Council Rule 7 will apply to him as well. Please remove him from the meeting.
You've been ordered removed. Please
Sir, you're
leave
ordered
quietly.
excluded. You need to leave the meeting.
So we can't conduct our meeting with your shouting in the middle of the aisle. You've been ordered removed.
Not time for dialogue, sir. You've been ordered from the meeting. You were invited to provide public comment, but you preferred to disrupt, so you are ordered removed from this meeting. Please leave.
So let's. So the person's still shouting in the center aisle. Obviously, we can't conduct business like this. Please leave. You're disrupting the meeting.
The gentleman is still shouting as he's being escorted to the door.
Yeah, he's shouting loudly as he walks
No,
backwards
I actually
slowly
can't
out.
speak over you because you're yelling loudly enough to disrupt the entire meeting under Council Rule 12. So we'll wait. All right, let's go to approval of the minutes of Sorry, we'll wait for the shouting to stop. We'll try to approve the minutes of November 4th, 2022. Councilmember Price moves, Councilmember Hutt seconds. Without objection, next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Councilmember Bonin moves, Councilmember Lee seconds. Without objection, next.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday and it's time for the flag salute.
All right, if everyone would please rise for the flag salute, and Councilmember Koretz, could you please lead us today in the flag salute?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please place your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koretz. Madam Clerk, let's run through the agenda, please.
Items 1 through 10 are items noticed for public hearings. Items 11 through 24 are items for which public hearings have been held. Items 25 through 33 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Very good. Without objection, those items are now before us. Do members have any items that they'd like to call special? On the left, on the right, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 32 for remarks, please.
Very good. Any other items to be called special, members? All right, I see none, so we're now able to vote on some of the items that have not been called special. Madam Clerk, which items would now be before us?
The council may now vote on items 11 through 24.
All right, those items are now before us. Members, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
And Mr. President, if I may, the ordinance for item 24 will be held over to November 22nd for a second reading.
Very good. Are there any other matters before us that we can vote on at this time, Madam Clerk?
Not at this time.
All right, then we can then move on to public comment. And as I mentioned, we'll be taking public comment both here in the chambers as well as telephonically. Madam Clerk, if you could please read out the call-in information that was also provided on the agenda.
Thank you. As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer comment should call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. When it is your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press *6 to unmute. Let me repeat, call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. When it is your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press *6 to unmute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. City Attorney, would you please explain the speaking rules to members of the public who are calling in to speak?
Yes, Mr. President. So for members of the public calling in, when it's your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you'd like to speak on. You have 1 minute prior to speak, up to 3 minutes total, and if you wish, 1 minute for general public comment. Please speak to the items before general public comment. We'll tell you when your time's up. When speaking on the items, and this applies to people in the room as well, please be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not on topic, or if we can't tell whether you're on topic, you'll get one brief warning from me or the president. At that point, you need to get immediately clearly on topic, or unfortunately, you'll forfeit the rest of your speaking time. The items open for public comment are items 1 to 10 and 25 through 33. 1 to 10 and 25 to 33. In general public comment, if you wish to take it, you can talk about anything within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. For members of the public calling in, as you were told, when it's your turn, an automated Zoom voice will prompt you to press *6 to unmute yourself. If you don't do so, council staff will prompt you once more, typically by reading off the last 4 digits of your phone number. At that point, you need to press *6 right away to unmute yourself, or unfortunately, we'll move on to the next speaker. Finally, for those of you participating remotely, we understand you may be listening on multiple devices, but because of a time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast and feedback, it really causes a great deal of confusion if you're listening on multiple devices. So as soon as it's your turn to speak, please turn down the volume on the other devices right away. And finally, because of the time delay, please keep one ear to the phone so that when it's your turn to speak, you hear it in real time and press *6 right away. If you don't do it in time, again, you might forfeit your speaking time. And with that, Mr. President, we are ready to begin public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and take the callers who are here in person first, and we'll call Jason Reedy first. And Mr. Reedy will be followed by someone who just left the letter A.
So when you come to the podium, Mr. Reedy, would you tell us which items you had signed up for?
Well, I'd like to think 32. I can comment on that, correct?
Yes, you can.
And then there were hearing of protests. Am I allowed to comment on those?
Which one, sorry?
What is it, 1 through 10?
Yes, and you can speak on those. So we'll set the clock for 3 minutes, and if you want a minute for general, you'll have that afterwards. So please begin.
So starting with these items, hearing protests. You guys don't want to hear protests right here in City Council chambers, do you? You want this to go away. Kevin De Leon's staff was sitting in these council chambers on Friday, right? Weren't they? Jen Barraza, his chief of staff, and Pete Brown, his director of communications. 2 people who have publicly defended Kevin De Leon and his actions. So I think it's ridiculous. Hold up, you're hearing protests. This is considered hearing protests. While it may not be related to this item specifically, you are talking about hearing protests, something that you failed to do here in City Council chambers.
Yeah.
And so you guys had these two City Council...
Mr. Reedy, as you yourself said, it's protests regarding the improvement and maintenance
I'm
of
talking
street
about the
lighting
improvement
decisions.
of this City Council. How can a City Council vote on the improvement of and maintenance of these different street lights and all this other kind of stuff when you guys don't even want to put that towards your City Council? Again, I want to reiterate, you had 2 of KDL's staff sitting front and center right here while y'all kept people out of the room last Friday. You kept out at his discretion when he said I was here last Wednesday when I was not. How can we trust his judgment? How can we trust his judgment when it comes to singling out or when it comes to people, identifying people? Now, moving on to 32. Mitchell Farrell, despite this motion to fund services to support the rental aid program for eligible renters in CD13, you yourself have voted for every single 4118 zone. Heather Hutt, you have yourself voted for every 4118 zone since you've been in council office, and have even put forward your own zones. So that's an issue. So this is just a facade. This doesn't make any sense. You can say you care about renters and all this other kind of stuff. You don't care about them when they're on the streets. All right, moving on to public comment.
Sure.
As I told you, Marquise, earlier, Mike Bonin, whoever else claims to be against the LAPD. LAPD today, at this moment, is approving a motion to get a robot dog. A robot dog. You know those ones from Boston Dynamics, the robotic dogs? And not one of y'all knew that shit was going on. Not one of y'all have spoken out against that. And that's an issue. Because you know where they're going to use that dog? They're going to use it in black and brown neighborhoods. They're not going to use it over in Westwood or in the Valley or any of those places. They're going to use it right there. So I want to ask you, why do you allow Kevin De Leon's staff to be in this room? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Why? Is that okay with y'all? You know, I want to remind folks that on October 11th, when Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon came into this room, it wasn't y'all that broke quorum. It wasn't y'all that walked out of these chambers. It was the people that forced them to walk out of these chambers. Y'all would have had a meeting with them because you are just as complicit as them. You are just as complicit as them. You want to talk about anti-blackness? Joe Buscaino. There's no person more anti-black than Joe Buscaino. And yet Mike Bonin sits there.
Mr. Reedy, thank you very much. Mr. Reedy, your time has expired. Thank you very much. Our next speaker just left the letter A.
And when you arrive at the podium, speaker, can you remind us which items you signed up for?
General public comment.
Sure, so you have a minute. Please begin.
All right, so today is election day. A day where we're talking about democracy and such, except there's absolutely no democracy in this council chambers. Look at the room. There's one other person in here. You've removed every other person, people who came to give public comment. Actually, there's maybe two more. I guess there's one more over there. But basically, and you all just sit there, and you're not even doing anything about it. Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon have not resigned yet. So why are you holding these meetings? You're letting their staff in the room. They're clearly still impacting policies. Nithya, you're still going to hold a vote to end renter protections tomorrow. Paul, you're just an absolute fascist. You should step down from you're not even a legitimate council president. Step down from council president.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all of the public speakers who were here in chambers. And just for clarification, not one of the people who were excluded actually signed up for public comment. So it was just the two of you, and you were both given an opportunity to speak. Mr. Reedy, please. Please don't disrupt the meeting, Mr. Reedy. I'm asking you respectfully. Please don't disrupt the meeting. All right, so let's go ahead next to the callers that we have, and we'll take the first public speaker on the phone.
Speaker with the last four digits, 5245. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. Speaker with the last four digits, 524. Hello. What items would you like to speak on?
Hello?
Yes, hi, speaker. Can you hear me? So, speaker, maybe you're listening on other devices. Turn the other ones down. Just listen on the phone. Which items would you like to speak on?
Hello?
Hi. So, we're going to have to move on to the next person if you don't respond real fast. Okay, I think
all
we better...
available items, well, looking, an empty room, public.
So which items do you want to speak on?
Council and police. Disgrace to democracy.
Speaker, please let me know.
All items and general public comment.
You have 3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33, followed by a minute for general. Please begin.
Hello?
Please begin. Okay, they're having some sort of communication. I think we should move on to the next person. Speaker, if you want to call back, that's fine, but we're obviously you can't hear us now. So we'll move on to the next person. You can try calling back.
Speaker with the last four digits, 5380. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Those of us on the phone can't actually hear you, so we have no idea what's going on. So that's why the previous caller was unable to speak.
Can you hear me?
I'm going to assume I'm being recognized since I was asked to unmute. I want to speak on item 10 and general public comment. If I'm ignoring Fauble, it's because I can't hear him.
Go ahead if you can hear me.
Now I can hear you. So there's an issue, but there's an issue with the Zoom.
Okay, thank you. We'll try to take care of that, and we'll reset you for the minute for item 10, and then after that you can go on to general. So please begin.
Great. Do you think acting like it's business as usual and carrying water for Cedillo and De Leon encourages them to resign, or does it encourage them to coast with the status quo and keep sucking at the government teat to line their empty pockets while not representing their constituents. Instead of any of you helping with the KDL recall, you're voting on a Cedillo KDL motion today. Do you understand why you're getting protested and shit talked? You're enabling them. You're all a bunch of enablers. You're complicit in their racism and their corruption. You need to stop carrying their water. Stop doing their work. And as was pointed out, why is KDL staff still welcome in City Council? You're complicit. You know, those of us on Zoom still don't have sound. Call-in users deserve to hear Fable's petulant baby play-by-play of the loud noises, so we get to laugh at it too.
Speaker, that was obviously general public comment. Do you want to talk about
I am
10?
going into general public
No.
now.
Speaker,
that
was general.
10.
So do you want item 10, which is the housing revenue bonds? You want to speak about that?
No, I already spoke about that. That was a
No, you didn't. So let's move on to the next speaker. That was clearly public comment that you did before. So
no,
next
it was
speaker.
not. It was about that motion. It was about that motion.
Speaker, you literally spent 2 seconds talking about the motion. It was not about that. It was general public comment. So let's move on.
We'll move on to the next speaker now. Speaker with the last four digits, 1148. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
So speaker with 1148, if you're there, please press star 6 right now. No? All right. So we'll... I think
You hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
Yes, you're having problems with your Zoom.
Okay.
I suggest you fix it along with the corruption of your
Okay.
council.
So thank you. Which items would you like to speak on?
No, thank you, Fable, corrupt person.
So-
I'd like to speak on all available items and general public comment.
Okay. So you have
Corrupt
3
city
minutes for items
official.
1 through 10 and 25 to 33, followed by a minute of general. Please begin.
Thank you, corrupt city official. The LA Sleazy Council is a criminally insane institution of organized crime and nothing more. In relation to that, items 25, all the items here are going to be voted on by corrupt officials, and this council should really be disbanded. Item 25 to 31, removing properties from REAP. It's a wonder that anybody has properties left. With the corruption at Sleazy Hall, the corrupt sleazy council members. Number 32, Farrell, you're a criminal. Funding a rental aid program, $2 million. I suggest we add $200 million from the LAPD budget. Maybe take some of the money back. You butchered the people at Echo Park, Farrell. Hopefully we don't have to see you anymore after tomorrow. Take $200 million in LAPD budget and add to this funding a rental aid program. You call every damn item on the planet special. You and Cedillo stole $700,000 a unit of HHH funds. Why don't you use some of that money and some of the developer money, you corrupt bastard, Farrell, butchering people on the street with your 4118 motions, along with Heather Hutt, handpicked by Martinez. Number 33, we have Farrell. Shut your mouth, Fable. We have Farrell again and Rodriguez. Reinstate $25,000 reward for assault. I suggest we take some LAPD money, millions of dollars, of which the public said they wanted you to fund social programs, but you keep funneling money back into them via joy bucket of racist criminal. You have $25,000 here. There'd be less assaults, there'd be less crime, there'd be less homelessness if you people would fund these social programs, except for the LAPD, of course, which is all you know how to fund. and Heather Hutt, handpicked by Martinez with their 4118 motions, abusing the public, abusing homeless people, evicting homeless people from under bridges. Council Rule 7 and 12, where's the council rule for the anti-city council corruption?
So you can go into
I'm gonna
general
go
if
to
you
public
wish,
comment.
Speaker. Yes, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Public, what's more damaging to the black community and our city in general? Martinez calling Bonin's son a monkey, or sleazy Marquise Dawson sitting there procuring $308,000 for a luxury office alterations and a $20,087.50 a month lease to take the black community's state EDD unemployment office. That's Council File 18-0957. What's more damaging, public? Bonin sat there on his fat ass, and he voted for this as well, as long with all you other criminals, including you, Krikorian. Marquise Dawson evicted the black community's 20-year cultural center, the FIBA Center. What's more racist? Martinez calling Bonin's son a monkey, or that? The biggest problem in the black community are these coon, tom, sellout Negroes that all our communities pay for.
Thank you, Speaker.
All of it.
Next speaker, what items would you like to speak on?
Hello?
Hi, which items would you like to speak on?
It's Eric Previn, and I'll speak on the available items and a general public comment.
Sure.
And just a brief note, there's some terrible technical difficulties. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Yes, thank you.
After
So
so
we have
months of
you have
doing-
3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33, followed by a minute for general. Please begin, Mr. Previn.
Okay, 1 through 10, are some of the items that the public was desperate to speak about. But unfortunately, there was an audio problem where we were blocked from Krikorian's excellent routine where he cites Rule 12 and 7 in repetition, and harumph is the two of you shamefully, or have to excuse so many people from class, like little teachers who are very, very disappointed in the students. And these students are not here to participate, they're here to disrupt. So this is very, very bad. We have to go to the principal's
Get back to the items, Mr. Previn.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's what I'm doing, item 1 through 10. But I just wanted to say on behalf of all the students who want to pay attention how upsetting it is that the teachers are having to be are being disrespected. Now, 1 through 10, great work on all these lighting districts, because what they do is they give a message to the public that no, there's nothing in here for you, because these are routine, we tack a little cost onto your bill for the neighborhood, and we'll take care of the lights. Whether or not you have lights, you're going to get some, and this is how it works. If you want to protest, there's a sneaky way to do so and see the fine print, okay? There's a couple of different appointments, and Zoom, since it's working so well, you guys have now loaded
I
up all
really
the
do
meetings
think
with Zoom.
we've started to veer off. Let's get squarely back
No,
on
we're
the
not.
items,
We're
Mr.
on item
Previn.
3, and I'm looking at item 3, which is here protest against the proposed improvement in maintenance. I mean, what are you talking about, Fauble? Seriously, you gotta step back. You like rules. You're not allowed to stick your hockey
Mr. Previn,
stick in
I'm
on
going to
my-
tell you this once more.
on
Just
work.
because the item has the talk about protests against street
I'm talking
maintenance
about lighting
systems doesn't mean you
districts,
get
the
to
way
talk
they
about
work. If you're
protests
listening,
anywhere in the
you'd
city.
understand.
So let's
Yeah.
stick with the
The
items
way
or
the
we can
lighting
go to
districts
general.
work. What? No, that's an outrage. I'm talking about the lighting districts. You want to get a lawsuit? Back off. You tabulate the ballots in another setting on Zoom. If you read your goddamn little items, okay? And there are multiple, there are 10 of them, because they have no import to anybody unless they happen to know, or we're working closely to nix it, which you can ask Karo Trosian how to do that. He's very helpful, or any of the other chiefs of staff. If you're in the know and you want to nix it, there's a way. But otherwise, you just get in line and pay, okay? And ask Holly Wolcott. I believe it's her office that oversees it. And I don't want to be pushed off. If you put all these things on the agenda, I'm allowed to talk about it. And I want to talk about, there's a key aspect to it. It says to access the live stream, join the Zoom meeting, and they give you instructions. And the passcode is Prop 218. Fauble, this is a quiz. What is Prop 218? That's the law that makes these lighting districts doable by the city council. You're allowed to invoke that law, to have the little hearings and do the little game and get the little money. Okay, and then De Leon has been carted out, gets to talk about the copper theft, and everybody knows that he's an international copper tycoon and will eventually be rewarded for all of his efforts at fighting the copper. Now, what's going to happen in the absence of De Leon is up to the protesters, because we don't know. We don't know, and we don't trust
You can go into general, Mr. President.
Well, I would rather not go to general because there's other items on the agenda. Like, for example, why do you put any, first of all, here's a new rule for going forward for the mayor and for everybody else. If you want to appoint somebody like April Brody, she's one of the two twins, Brody sisters, who run a little not-for-profit, very little, that helps other not-for-profits. You don't reject the possibility of comment because you heard it in committee, okay? This is called public scrutiny. These meetings are intentional. They're supposed to be so people can look and see, oh, wait, O'Farrell is putting forward a reward for two people who were marauded one night but not killed, thank God. And he's fudging the notification because the LA Times extends it for 6 months. But this one's been extended since 2016, 3 times, always right around an election for O'Farrell, so he looks like he's doing the good work. It's gross. It's gross, okay? It's very gross. And now, who's going to get that money? I don't know. Watch, because he's heading for the door. As Koretz and O'Farrell head for the door, let's watch.
Thank you,
very
Mr. Previn.
closely.
Thank you.
Watch very closely.
Next person.
Speaker, what items would you like to speak on? Speaker with the last 4 digits. Hello. What items would you like to speak on?
How you doing? General public comment.
Sure, Sean.
Sean from Canoga Park.
Great. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, how you doing? I hope Rick Caruso wins the mayor's race. He doesn't win, there's going to be consequences. Sick of LA, sick of the protesters, sick of everything. Tracy Parks for District 11. And I got words to say to De Leon, fuck you.
Speaker with the last 4 digits, 5404. What items would you like to speak on?
Hi, can you hear me?
We
The
sure
audio's
we
really
can.
weird.
Which items would you like to speak on?
I'd like to speak on all available items plus general public comment, but I also have a question. Can the council hear me?
Yes, we can. So you have 3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33, followed by a minute for general. So please begin and start with the items, please.
I would actually prefer to start with general, if that's all right.
Just
Thank
general? Okay, we'll set the clock for a minute.
No, I would prefer to start with general,
so,
because it's going to tie in. Okay.
Okay, we'll
Thank
go
you.
ahead, but then when we hit the items, you really need to be on topic. Begin.
I will be on topic. So I want to say that I've been watching the public comment this whole time, and you guys have been involved in side conversations. So you kick people out because they're interrupting the meeting, but then you don't give the people who are following the rules the courtesy of actually listening. I've seen Booth Guyano and Marquise and Heather Hutt having a little trio conversation, Mitch O'Farrell in conversation, Krikorian went out to get his coffee. Like, what is the point of saying, like, you need to respect us if you won't respect the public during public comment? It's really clear to me that you don't listen, and then you scratch your head and wonder why people are still showing up to protest. Like, come on. Respect is a two-way street, and you guys aren't even on the road right now. That's part of the problem. There's a couple of you that have been sitting there listening. I've seen Monica Rodriguez listening, so good on her. But, like, it's really, really obvious the disdain that exists for the public.
So please now, you've got 3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33. Please stick to the items.
Great. So with item 2, lighting districts are interesting because of the way that they're done. Typically, it seems like they're a condition of approval for a building that went through. But here we have an item from CD1, Gil Cedillo, and we're putting something up that is for his district when he won't step down. So we're continuing on the business as usual of property development, of doing things that developers want. And I'm not against lights, but I am fundamentally opposed to really hearing anything that has to do with CD1 or CD14 right now. So, you know, it's what, Mamian Way and Avenue 45, number 2 street lighting district. So it's going to be a handful or maybe even just one property owner who's going to vote whether or not they want to tax themselves, which is probably a condition of approval of their particular building. But why are we, there's choices that you're making in what you put on the agenda. And this is a choice. This is a choice that you made to further allow business as usual that doesn't put pressure on Gil to step down.
So we've kind of veered away from the items. Can we stick to the items, please?
I think, Mr. Falbo, that I was very clearly talking about lighting districts and the fact that I objected to that item being heard because of the situations associated with the council district in which it is in. So I understand that you want to attempt to modulate my First Amendment rights to speak, but Mr. Falbo, there are people who will file hearing corrects on this. I am pretty
So let's stick with the items. Let's stick with the items.
Let's go to item 10 now. Going to item 10. So we have multifamily housing revenue bonds in CD1. Again, I'm not against multifamily housing revenue bonds. It's 137 unit multifamily. I hope that most of that's affordable. But the problem is it's CD1 and it's a Cedillo de Leon motion. So again, you're doing the business of pushing forward their work, but not doing the work of getting them to step down. Where's the recall committee? So we're just going to keep development money is so much of what makes this city tick. It's so much of what makes donors money up. But why can't we solicit some of those donors to go to a recall? How about you all get your butts down to Kaufman and open a committee? Like, all right, so we're going to continue going down. And let's see, we're taking a look at item, 32. We have rental aid, which is great. We should be doing more rental aid. But I have to really deeply wonder what's going to happen when we take the vote on rescinding rental protection.
Thank you, Speaker. So, next speaker.
Speaker, what items do you wish to speak on?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Which items would you like to speak on?
All items available and public comment.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33, and then we'll take a minute of general. So please begin.
Well, first of all, I hope that everybody gets out and votes today. We need a change, and believe me, we need a change. So I hope everybody gets out and votes today. In regards to the technical problems which affect all items on the agenda today, it's amazing. Since 1989, I've been a part of the city council, and yet the technical problems you folks have today, ever since Martinez was president, and now that Mr. Pavel's there, the evil continues. So if I talk about all the items available on the agenda today, but nobody can hear them because of the technical problems.
We're hearing you. Can you actually stick to the items, please?
I am sticking. Are we talking about all items on the agenda today? And the reason why a lot of people can't hear is because of the technical problems. Mr. Pavel, just hush. Let me speak, okay? And so, we need to fix that. We need to fix that problem because this can't continue because, the rest of us who are trying to work with you.
Okay, so you can give me as much of a hard time as you want in general public comment. Let's talk to the items. There are very specific things on the agenda. Please just stick with them.
Mr. Bobble, can I go to public comment?
Yes, you may. We'll set the clock for a minute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bobble. Anyway, listen, I'm going to bring something on Friday. Some of you will believe it, some of you won't. But I will show you something that I hope that those of you who are good, honest people will say, wow, this is interesting. But I will be there on Friday, unless I have jury duty. I am on call. So, but Mr. Bobble, Mr. Bobble, whatever your name is, it's time for you to go. It is really, as long as you're the seed of the evil that Martinez brought, the ugliness of that. We have to release that. Mr. Kokorian, you can become a legend. Please don't fall into the same trap. Everything you gain there is taken away from you in the future. So please, Mr. Bobble, why don't you go to your office and retire in there and just take your pension or whatever. I don't know how old you are, but please just let this city go on and let us recover from all the evil.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Hi, general public comment, please.
Sure, absolutely. You have a minute. Please begin.
Fabble, you're really making Columbia proud. There's fascism right now. Loving hearing you point out to the cops who harass and intimidate. It's really nice of you. Trying to wonder, do you guys have ears? Do you hear us when we say no resignations, no meetings? When we said no resignations, no meetings, we mean no resignations, no meetings. And you're disrupting the meeting. That's the whole point, you fucking idiot. You cannot have a meeting when two of your members are currently getting paid to not fulfill their duties. The public has spoken and you're not listening to us. You all love to quote Martin Luther King, even though you hate black people. He said, riot is the voice of the unheard. So what are you doing? You're not listening to us. We pay your salary, so listen to us. The whole world is watching right now with this aftermath of Nury Martinez. So do your fucking job, or don't, and quit and let people actually take over and give a fuck about this city. Fuck all of you.
Next speaker.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Yes, can you hear me?
We sure can. Which items would you like to speak on?
General public comment, please.
Sure. You have a minute. Please begin.
Thank you. On November 19th, the Echo Park community, via the El Centro del Pueblo nonprofit, from 4 to 6, is having a food giveaway of some type, organized by the people of color in the community. What I saw on the flyer was Mitchell Farrell's logo all over that flyer. My question is, since Mitch has such deep pockets, why does this event still requesting donations? If Mitch can cover everything that is being requested and as far as a donation. These are the same people of families that he helped to gentrify with a gang injunction going back to 2013. He's no friend to the Mexican-American community. He's no friend to the indigenous community in Echo Park. He's no friend to the black community in Echo Park. And I don't understand why some people are still kind of asleep knowing what Mitch O'Farrell did. So the question is, Mitch, why aren't you funding this program for the people 100%?
Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Hello.
Hi. Which items would you like to speak on?
All available items and public comment, please.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33. Please begin.
Sure. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cancel that. I'm just going to do public comment.
Okay.
And my name is Pilo. And all I want to say is there are calls to have the 2 remaining council members' pay be blocked or that they resign. But what is most important here is to realize that as all of this goes on, we currently have hundreds of city employees suspended without pay for invoking their religious beliefs against a forced medical experiment. These employees have not been accused of any crime or violated any charter policy like MRT, yet they sit at home without pay, without health care coverage pending termination. They sit at home as MRT being treated as criminals for daring to oppose a government decision which was led by the tyrant Nury Martinez. The residents of Los Angeles are being directly affected through the loss of services. City employees have suffered just like residents. Those that have lost their jobs have lost their health care and benefits during a state of emergency as a pandemic occurs that this council refers to. The employee vaccine mandate has directly affected the same minorities this council claims to support.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Yes, it's Goat Puppet, famous food critic.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Well, of course, faggot. All items in general public comment.
You have 3 minutes for items 1 through 10 and 25 through 33. Please begin. Please stay on topic. And then a minute after that.
Yes. So, number one. Fuck number one.
Are you there,
Three
Speaker?
for three. Can you hear me, niggers?
We can hear you. Which items do you want to continue? Stick to the items, please.
Yes. Well, I'm trying, you faggot bastard. Item 3. Fuck item 3. Item 4. Fuck item 4. Item 5, I support. Item 6, fuck item 6. Item 7, fuck item 7. Item 8, I remain neutral. Item 9, fuck item 9. Item 10, I remain neutral on. Item 22, fuck item 22. 23, fuck item 23. 25, fuck item 25. What about item 23? Item 23, I already said it, you dumb asshole. Fuck it. Item 26, fuck item 26. Item 27, fuck item 27. Item 28, fuck item 28. Item 29, fuck item 29. Item 30, fuck item 30. Item 31, fuck item 31. Item 32, fuck item 32. Item 33, fuck item 33. Item 34, fuck item 34.
So we don't have an item 34, Mr. Spindler. You seem to have exhausted the list. Do you want to go on to general?
I'm not nobody Wayne. Not me, damn it, it's my puppet. Yes.
Okay,
I
we'll
told
send
you
you.
who I was.
We'll give you a minute for general. Please continue your
Yeah.
illuminating comments.
So, yes. Hey, faggot Fobble, today is your last day on the job. Hugo Soto Martinez is going to wipe your ass across the floor. Your political career is over. But I have better news. Since you're not going to serve 10 years on the city council, you also don't get your full city pension. Yay! Yay! That's right, yay! Bye-bye. And as to you, Peppa Pig Coretts, your verdict is failure. You're going to lose the controller's race as Kenneth Mejia moves in. Now, hopefully, Mr. Soto and Mr. Mejia will work with Goat Puppet and appreciate Goat Puppet's friendship, or he'll wind up like Neri Martinez, overweight and with a foul mouth. Yes, that's what happens, people. When you don't support puppets, you overeat and gain a filthy...
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm here.
So, Speaker, you've got an echo. Can you turn
Do I need
off
to turn it
all the other
down,
devices?
or-
Oh.
I'm here in the chamber, so what do you want me to do? They wouldn't let me come up to speak, so I had to call on here. Turn it off?
If you'll...
Oh, you okay, okay.
Yep. Come on up to the podium.
So for the public wondering what was going on, the speaker was in the room with a phone, so we started getting feedback. So we're at the podium now. Which items would you like to speak on?
Basically, public comment.
Okay, thanks. So please go ahead.
Okay, so everyone, yes, please go out and vote. And again, back to how, please, if the city council can do everything they can to get Kevin De Leon out, because that is a racist, mentality, and he's spreading that. For example, election today. So you got Karen Bass, a black woman, running. And do you know there will be, because of the racist group that's being empowered by Kevin De Leon, that he's still able to stay here and get a check? You also have that same group not wanting to vote for Karen Bass for LA City Mayor because she's a black woman. They don't know Caruso, don't even care about Caruso. The point is they don't want a black woman in office, which is the same group that is supportive of Kevin De Leon on still being here and empowers him. So again, this is why we need the LA City Council to do everything you can in your power to get Kevin De Leon, because he has a following. This racist group is following him even to the election. So please go vote Karen Bass.
Thank you, and thanks for coming to the podium. So we can go back directly to the people phoning in.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak on?
Hi, Ted Treminsky, District 14, general public comment.
Absolutely. So you have a minute. Please begin, Speaker.
Yeah, I actually just items 32, 33 too. I just want to say no to those. I mean, that's pretty obvious what O'Farrell's doing there. But as far as general public comment goes, just really disappointed that the last time this body met, I didn't get a chance to speak because Krikorian cut off public comment. That's exactly what Martinez was doing as the head of this body, and it's a really bad look. We don't want to see public comment limited, even if there are protesters, especially if there are protesters, especially if KDL staffers are continuing to show up to these meetings and participate in any way. It's pretty clear that the people are outraged, and that how you continue to act as business as usual does not fly by us. It is election day. We're excited to vote if we haven't already. I'm bidding a bunch of you goodbye, hopefully forever. With that, I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Speaker. We appreciate it.
Mr. President, there are no more speakers on the queue.
Thank you very much. So we've taken every caller who chose to call in to provide public comment today. We have one more public speaker who's here in the chambers. Mr. Harlan, please come on up. And that will conclude public comment for today after Mr. Harlan concludes.
And when you get to the podium, Mr. Harlan, please let me know which items you'd like to speak on.
Hi, I'm Donald Harlan. I'd like to speak on agenda items number 13, 11. I'm sorry. 10, 12, and 13.
Okay, so we voted on 12 and 13.
General comment.
So we'll give you a minute for item 10 and then a minute in general, in which you can talk about those other items. So we'll start with the minute on item 10 and then we'll go on to general. So please begin.
Okay, agenda item number 10. Yeah, I oppose agenda item number 10. I think it needs more study. Due diligence isn't usually done here in a city council. That if comes up frequently that there's real estate on your agenda for community programs or city programs where they're spending government money trying to develop something on somebody else's real estate without asking them or offering them to buy it or to pay them for it. That they can't find a succession of ownership on many of the properties on these agendas. I haven't looked specifically at agenda item number 10, but it looks like to me that they're doing some funny business with the assessor reports where they change the address. They use each street that's close to it to change the address, to change the assessor reports. It's a big problem. They don't have the owner of the property. And as general public comment, it's the same problem with the other properties, number 12, 110 South Boyle Avenue, agenda item number 13, 11681 Foothill Boulevard. They don't have the owner of the property. They can't prove a succession of ownership. It would be a crime for the city to spend government money developing a homeless program on real estate that they don't own. And that it looks like the assessor report's been changed multiple times. it's been the properties, if a property's declared vacant property, that doesn't mean that there's no owner. That means it's owned by somebody. And it seems that this is fraud committed by the city council, that you guys haven't spent the time to look at it, and it needs more investigation.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Hahn.
All right, members, we've now taken all of the speakers who signed up here in chambers and all of the speakers who called in to offer comment. So we'll go ahead and close public comment on all agenda items and close general public comment. Madam Clerk, what does that bring before us then?
The council may now vote on items 1 through 10, 25 through 31, and 33.
Very good. Those items are now before us. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
All right. If we can now move on to items called special by members. And that would be item 32, called special by Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Back in October, we re-upped our rent subsidy program for the 13th District, one that we started in the spring of 2020 when the coronavirus epidemic was in full swing long before vaccinations came into play. And this council subsequently, through various federal and state acts, most specifically the CARES Act back in 2020, created the largest rent subsidy program of any city in the United States of well over $300 million. As the protections from the pandemic and the eviction and rent restrictions begin to sunset at the end of January, I feel it was very important in my district, which has over 70% renters, to do what we can in my district specifically to ensure that families, individuals who are still impacted by loss of income due to the pandemic have something to help as these protections sunset. So I introduced another subsidy program back in October, and this action today increases that subsidy by another couple of $1 million. We're going to help around 1,000 households, which really translates into several thousand individuals with $5,000 grants. And our application process opened and closed over a 2-week period recently. Small mom and pop landlords and their tenants could both apply. And this will just provide a little bit of cushion as the pandemic, God willing, draws to a close. We know the economy is revving up, but we also know that inflation is high. So we feel that this subsidy will just help people who need it the most as the pandemic comes to a close. And I thank you all for helping support renters in my district specifically with increasing this amount so that as many families that need it, these $5,000 grants to just help cover their rent so they don't fall further behind will really impact positively the constituents that I'm so privileged to represent in the 13th District. So I ask for your aye vote, and I thank you, and let's keep staying in the business of keeping people fed and housed, because there's still lots of housing and food insecurity out there in the city of LA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Farrell. Thank you for your leadership throughout COVID and continuing through till today and protecting the most vulnerable tenants in your district. Is there any other comment on this, members? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. And Mr. O'Farrell, would you like that sent forthwith? That'll be the order. All right, Madam Clerk, what is now before us?
The council has motions for posting and referral.
Posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Members, are there any announcements? Mr. Buscaino, announcements? Okay. Any announcements on the left, on the right? I guess the only announcement that we should all join in is reminding people that today is Election Day and the polls will be open until 8 o'clock, including voting centers throughout the city. And Metro is offering free rides to anybody who needs it throughout the day. So with that, let's move on to adjourning motions. And we'll begin with Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President, rather. My apologies. Mr. President and members, I ask that we rise and adjourn in memory of Francesco Briguglio. Oh, Uncle Frank, we called him. You know, every Italian family has an Uncle Frank, Justin. And he was an incredible human being, and we love him, and we're going to miss him. Francesco Briguglio, Uncle Frank, born in Cinisi, Sicily on December 1st, 1938, and passed away on October 29th, 2022. He was a wonderful husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, and a loyal brother, son, cousin, and friend. Uncle Frank is survived by his loving wife, Angela, of 57 years. Also his sons, Giuseppe, Filippo, Cosimo, and daughter, Nicolina. We celebrated his life yesterday at Mary Sardisi Parish with an incredible tribute to his life and the funeral mass, and he was, his family and friends were surrounded by a lot of love at yesterday's funeral mass. Francesco Briguglio, may he rest in peace. Thank you, Mr. President, members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Buscaino. Any other adjourning motions on the left? Any adjourning motions on the right? Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you. Colleagues, today is the 25th anniversary of what my father-in-law declared was the happiest day of his life, the day his son, Raleigh, and I got married. It was decreed in our wedding video very accurately that it was the day two families became one, and we would be one big happy family. No truer words have ever been spoken. Our wedding remains the best party I've ever attended. Over 30 years ago, I met the man that would become my forever dance partner and concert buddy, the man I would build a life and family with. And for those of you familiar with my witty and handsome husband, you need to know that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. My husband was raised by a beautiful Cuban-born couple who found each other as teenagers in New York City and built a life together in this country. They deeply loved one another and raised a family whose humor and zest for life was exhibited in every moment spent in their presence. Raul Lorenzo Fontanils was born August 14th, 1941 in Guantanamo, Cuba. He was the younger of two sons born to Angela and Mario Fontanils. Raul came to the States in middle school, joining his parents and older brother, Mario, who settled in Washington Heights before his arrival at 183rd in Amsterdam in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, which is still in our family today. He graduated from George Washington High School, notably the alma mater of Henry Kissinger. And it was not long after his graduation that he would meet the love of his life, his querida, Barbara Maella. They met on her second day in this country and would subsequently reconnect through mutual friends. As she tells it, he was one of the cool guys. And as we've sorted through old photos and having had the privilege of knowing him for the last 30 years, I agree. After a year-long courtship, they were married. She was 19 and he was 23. They would live in the family apartment as they built their young family together. First came Bernice, and then came Raleigh. Raul worked for EDS, a company owned by Ross Perot, when he was then laid off. He decided to venture west with his young family, following his brother and parents who had settled in North Hollywood and tried to get employment while on vacation. When he secured employment at Lytton, he permanently relocated his young family to the San Fernando Valley, buying their home in Arleta in 1975, and unbeknownst to us all, forging the future that none of us could have ever predicted. Because my parents had also settled in the community of Arleta, and thankfully, because of those often bizarre school boundaries, it put Raul Fontanils Jr. and I on a journey that would have us cross paths at San Fernando High School. I met Raul Lorenzo Fontanils when I was just a friend to his son. He was an affable man and a man of very few words. The Fontanils home has always been the space where friends were welcomed. When I began dating Raleigh, the summer of '92 after my high school graduation, I became a more regular presence at the Fontanil's household. I would try chatting with the man of very few words. He was very quiet, usually with the TV on in the kitchen. And while I'm pretty sure I was bothering him, he seemed to not mind. I would ask him questions about his childhood in Cuba or about his life in New York, trying to understand his perspective because it often challenged mine. After a year and a half of dating, the Northridge earthquake left us limited in communication, and visits to Raleigh were challenged because of the circumstances. As he wrote me in one letter that I still have to this day, because there was no texting back then, he shared that it was complete mayhem in his house because his cousins were staying over to get to work because the roads were down, and that he noted that even his dad missed me because I was the one that he would talk to, and noted that my dad likes you too. I always appreciated how quickly I was made to feel part of the family. I think about those early years so fondly, seeing him in his element at family parties, where that quiet man would suddenly erupt into the life of the party. I often described him as the Warner Brother frog, you know, the one where when he's alone with his owner, would break out into song and dance, but in front of strangers just sat quietly. I'm so glad I got to see very quickly that fun side of him, whether it was during some of the rather contentious domino games played with his compadres or at a family dinner. He had a wonderful sense of humor and loved his family and friends deeply and exhibited it with every embrace, brush of the arm, or kiss on the cheek. When he graduated from dad to Papa Raul, the grandfather, it was the next stage of leveling up. He wasn't just a grandfather to my kids. He was the grandfather to my sister's kids. He never missed a Little League game or recital. He was very much part of the village of support in our family that helped us raise our kids. Our holidays together were always the best. When we would each stand up and give our thanks, we would often try to make him go last, because if he spoke first, he'd get up 2 or 3 more times before the end of the meal. While I will always be grateful for the love and support he provided to my kids, the love and friendship he showed authentically to my parents and extended family is one that I know they both appreciated and will deeply miss. I will forever be most grateful for how he supported me unconditionally and how he influenced and raised the man that would become my husband. In 2007, when I first endeavored to run for city council, he was not only among my early supporters, he was a fierce phone banker. He supported me and believed in me as deeply as my own parents did. And when I was appointed to the Board of Public Works, I remember that one day I got a call, and it was the call that I knew deep down he always wanted to make. Trash day came and went, and their block was missed, and boy, did he lay into me. I remember calling Alex Helu and saying, of all the streets in the San Fernando Valley you had to miss, it had to be my in-laws. The grief he gave me. But I got it handled immediately, and he laughed because it was just one of his tests. I'm proud to have earned the distinction that I remain the first and last Democrat that he ever supported. He wasn't a complicated man. His greatest expression of pure love was exhibited in how he adored my mother-in-law. If you were in the house, you would hear him call out for his querida. They were each other's most perfect dance partners, and you would be lucky to be in their presence for the good-humored bickering that they would level at each other. Their deep affection was palpable for more than 57 years. He found his joy with family and friends. His favorite meal, steak with fries or tostones, or anything paired with black beans and rice. Saturday, we lost the most stoic, funny, dedicated family man and best chicharrita maker, Raul Lorenzo Fontanils, who has been reunited with his mother, father, and brother, and our other beloved family members who we know were there to receive him. He will be forever celebrated and remembered daily by the love of his life, Barbara, his children, Raleigh and Bernice, myself, and my brother-in-law, John, his grandkids, Adrian and Eliana, and countless friends and extended family. True to the declaration 25 years ago today, we remain one big happy family, Papa Raul. Thank you for willing that into being. We love you forever, and may you rest in peace.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez, for that very beautiful tribute. And please know that all of us on the City Council and the entire city family embrace you and your family with caring now. May his memory always be a blessing. With that,
I can add.
Mr. Buscaino.
Monica, just to let you know our sincere condolences to you, Raleigh, and the family. And it was just not long ago you shared with me that he was at hospice at home, and I texted your husband. I said, these are the most precious moments, and I know he loved his father and how much your father-in-law supported you. What an incredible tribute, and I know he's shining down upon you now and smiling. So hang in there. We love you. To you, Raleigh, and the entire family. Okay, God bless.
Thank you. And with that, members, this meeting is adjourned.
Japanese, persons of Japanese descent, and how the Japanese population in Boyle Heights peaked in 1940, and then, of course, was reduced drastically by the internment camps.
Yeah, this other article with this picture, this cemetery is where grandparents from both sides of my family and also other relatives are at Evergreen Cemetery.
Yeah, because that was one of the only cemeteries where they could be buried.
Yeah, so it's really, I don't know. And then when my grandfather on my mom's side, in his sort of last years, he lived at Hollenbeck. There's like a care facility called Hollenbeck over there that's very, like, it feels very full of history. Whenever we would go visit him, I was like, this feels very old, and it's called Hollenbeck, so.
Well, this Japanese hospital is also in Boyle Heights and has a lot of history, and was created because Japanese couldn't get medical services at a lot of hospitals. And they're just now sort of honoring it. In 2020, they honored it with a historic cultural monument. So it's nice that there's an effort to preserve some of the Japanese history in Boyle Heights. That's another element.
That's cool. I think that was right next door to Hollenbeck. Cato. It used to be called Cato, but it's something different now.